My name is Triffany Hammond. I want to thank you for being here today with Learning Forex Tester webinar. The purpose of today is to strictly go over getting Forex Tester to work for you. What my goal is with this webinar in particular is to shorten that learning curve for you and get you excited about using a tool that's going to speed up your backtesting process. This isn't a webinar about the pros and cons of backtesting, or I'm not trying to talk you into backtesting. I'm just saying that if you choose to use this tool, here are some tips, tricks, and ways to sort of expedite your process into your backtesting with Forex Tester. If there's interest enough, we can certainly do another webinar at another time about the benefits of backtesting and that sort of thing. But I just want to be perfectly clear about the goal here today. I do have a ton of stuff to get through, and not very much time to do it. So if I want to leave some time for questions at the end of it, I'm going to be moving pretty quickly. I will check to see if there's any wait before you change that slide kind of questions, but for the most part I'm going to save everything until the end so that we can keep the presentation fairly tight and the recording should be really clean. That way when you have questions later and you want to look at the archive, you can see it from the process from beginning to end instead of chopping it up with questions in between. So I'm going to just move right on ahead here. I think I'm going to move right on ahead here. There we go. So the basic idea behind Forex Tester is that it's a tool that helps you automate your backtesting. Remember, backtesting is just doing trading analysis on historical data. And if anybody has ever really been taught the idea of backtesting before, what they've done so far is just manually, just through your broker, load a bunch of historical data, and you can pretend that you can't see the rest of the chart, and you just go by one candle at a time making your decisions. I do not want to negate the benefits of doing it that way. There are huge amounts of good data as long as you're keeping really good records while you're backtesting. There's a lot to be gained from backtesting that way. However, those of you who have been backtesting for a while and have been backtesting manually understand that's a really time-consuming process. And, I think all of us are looking for a way to sort of speed up our learning process and still make it meaningful. And Forex Tester is one of the tools that we can use to do that. It's not, a perfect tool. They're continually fixing it. They do respond to feedback. If there's something you need in there you want them to add, I've seen them add things over the course of the years that I've been using Forex Tester. So don't be discouraged. Just understand that, it's kind of a work in progress as well. And, we're all trying to work together as a team to make this as simple of a process as we can. Do you have to have an automated system? No. Like I said, you can do the manual backtesting all on your own. And it does just create sort of a different kind of environment in your backtesting, as opposed to, one little bitty candle at a time and making notes, and little bitty candle at a time making notes. You can actually use it keeps track of a lot of the data that you want to mine at the end of your process for you. So that saves time in and of itself. You can also set it up to load an hour's candle a tick at a time if you want to. If you were trying to simulate live conditions to see what you'd be feeling like as a trade maybe goes against you on the next candle, and sort of try to put as many realistic elements into a portion of your backtesting as you can. So it's just a little bit different than what you may already be doing. First things first, whether you buy it first or whether you try it first, you still have to download the product and then email Forex Tester for a registration key. And they'll send you that with instructions. So it can be a little confusing right out of the starting gate, which can be frustrating for people. So you're going to go to forextester.com, and we'll look at that website in just a minute. You're going to download their trial version, which you can't, it's strictly trial. They only give you a month's worth of data at a time. You can only use it 30 minutes at a time. You can't save projects, that sort of thing. The whole idea is for you just to test it and see if it's something you can use. You have to download that first and then email them for a registration key. So that's how that goes. Don't get confused by that process. Harley, I think the sound issue is just you. Sorry about that. So let's first talk about creating space for the data. Before we even go out and grab any sort of, oh yes, I am so sorry. I should mention this. Thank you so much, Maud, for reminding me. That Maud has just sent a link out. And for those of you listening to the archive, it's www.fxstreet.com/services/Forex-tester. And that is going to give you a discount on the price if you download it through that link instead of going directly to the website. Thank you, Maud, for reminding me. Terribly sorry about that. You do want to get that at a discount. Anywhere you can, right? Okay, so the first thing you need to do in Forex Tester is just like, when you start to organize your files on your computer, you're going to start to organize your pairs on a Forex Tester. And before you actually even go out there and get any kind of data, you have to create a space for it within the confines of the Forex Tester structure. And you're going to do that from the history mode option in Forex Tester. We're going to go ahead and look at that live. I've deleted my Aussie dollar. We're going to re-import it and start fresh there so that you can see the whole process come through. And we're going to talk about all of this. The reason why I have some of these details on my spreadsheet, however, or I'm sorry, on my PowerPoint presentation here, is so that after this webinar, you can contact me. I've got a blog posting that will be available to you in order for you to download the presentation and use it sort of as a handwritten guide, right? So you'll have some notes in front of you. Because it's really important, while we're looking at all of this, I'm going to be giving you other tips and tricks. It's going to be really important to take notes on the little side things I say, because this you'll have for yourself. So you don't have to copy every slide. You'll get a copy of that. Donnie asked, can you import data from MetaTrader? You can. I don't know how. I've never done it. I just always use FX Street or FX Testers data, but I've heard people do it. So, okay. So let's go over to Forex Tester and take a look at that. Hello. Why doesn't it want to pull up? Okay, well, we tested this before. There we go. All right. Oh, man. Keeps disappearing on me. All right, hopefully it'll stay now. So here's what Forex Tester looks like. Why is this giving me such grief? Hello, tools. Here's what Forex, oh my gosh. All right, what do I need to do about this? This is very frustrating. All right, I'm going to stop. Let me pull this up, and I'm going to actually escape out of the presentation. Maybe that presentation is doing something to keep that from toggling properly. And it looks like I have to reshare. Okay, so we might have to unshare and reshare as we go through there. That might be the key. So here's what Forex Tester looks like. You're going to open it up. You've got blank canvas, a bunch of buttons. You don't know what they are at the top. We're going to go through some of these. As with any other program, you're going to have little cheater buttons on the top. You're also going to have your menu bar, and then as you get better and better with it, you'll have certain shortcuts and things like that you'll learn to use. But for starters, to create that space for our pair, we need to start with this little icon here, the page with the money symbol on it. This is the show symbol list. You can also find it in one of these. But I don't use that. There it is. It's under Tools, Symbol List. I use this button, though. That's just easiest for me. And the first thing you're going to do is add a symbol. We're going to call this the Aussie dollar. You can call it whatever you want. So if you had, for some reason, you wanted two different pairs, or you just wanted to call it Aussie or whatever, you can call it whatever you want. But this makes it really simple for me because by adding in exactly what the pair is called, the program makes assumptions about what I'm trading. You can see here it's added the base currency, which is true because that's on the left-hand side of the pair, right? And it's also adding the lot currency. Now, if you wanted to trade this, even though it's called the Aussie dollar, if you wanted to trade it, test it, dollar against the Aussie, you could take your lots in dollars, but there's really no sense in doing that because what you want to do is test it as close to what you have with your broker in the first place. Now, there's some information you need to know before you even get to this point. Most of it you're going to know off of the top of your head. Some of it, in order to get the conditions as closely matched to that of your broker as you possibly can, you will need to contact your broker for some of it. Let's talk first about your spread. Obviously, you're traders, you understand what spread is. This does not do decimal points very well. So in the case of the Aussie dollar on Alpari US, for instance, the spread is 2.8. So I have to tick up, I have to round up to 3, which is fine. Now, as you'll see in the program, as we move farther in and you take a sample trade and you look at some of that, you have a chance to take 1 full lot, 2 full lots, 3 full lots, right? You have the opportunity to do that. You also have the opportunity to take a tenth of a lot. This is where you have a chance to say where is your standard lot going to be. So if you're in a standard Forex account and you're trading $100,000, your standard lot is going to control $1,000 at a time. But what they're concerned here is what's your beginning balance? What's your lot size? I said 100,000. I'm sorry. What's your starting point for what you are considering a standard lot within the confines of this program? So if you're trading a mini account, $10,000 per pip, right? You would change this to $10,000 so that when you choose one lot that you want to trade in your test, it defaults to that size that you're trading in once you're ready to actually trade your ideas. So you can change that here. I'm going to go ahead and just leave it at 100,000 just because right now for testing for our purposes here today, we don't need to change it. Digits after the point. Now this is going to make some assumptions here. Some brokers are still on a 4-digit pricing model after the decimal point, right? Except on yen, which is 2 or 3, right? They've done that. Some brokers have done that to accommodate the request from the marketplace, mainly us, our retail traders, that we came out victorious and they heard our voices, right? Wanting to trade smaller. So if you have a 5-digit pricing model, you're going to change that here and watch. It's going to make that assumption over here. So this is another place where you can start to fiddle with your lot size if you felt the need to. If you wanted to, there's a 5-digit pricing model, but you really only wanted to measure your pips in your testing by the 4th, you would do that here. But remember, that's going to increase your lot size, right? And here you have a chance to say, where is too close? Now, it's going to assume that if you're within 3 pips of the price where you want to enter the trade, because that's the spread, it's too much. But let's say you're saying you want to change that for some reason to 5 or 6. I just leave it at the default because your broker's going to say that too. You're too close, right? Okay. Now, this is where you're going to need information from your broker. Your swap rates. You'll have to contact them. I've already looked them up for the Aussie dollar through Alpari US, and that's 0.71 and minus 1.1. Remember, when we're dealing with currencies, very often we're talking about when we exchange one currency for another, especially when we're dealing with crosses. Maybe you funded your account with pounds, but you're trading you're trading dollars against an Aussie, or maybe you funded it in dollars, but you're trading the pound against the yen. These swap rates identify to Forex Tester the rates your broker is using when it buys and sells this currency. And then your margin, you need to know what your margin is and your hedge against that. Most brokers, U.S. brokers especially, don't require hedging, so this really isn't an issue. You just have to not hedge in your testing. And we're going to say OK here. If you have any questions about any of that, jot it down, and we'll go over it at the end of the session. So now we need to click on Apply. You can see here now our Aussie dollar is down here, right? And we're going to click on Apply. Yes, Donnie, that's exactly right. Your swap should roll over. At the end of the day, when accounts are balanced, yes, thank you for clarifying that. I really didn't say that very well. Okay. And rather than see, I have to unshare and reshare for some reason. And I'm going to go ahead and just keep it, in this form, since that slideshow seemed to kind of goof around with the way I could toggle between programs. So, once you have downloaded your discounted priced Forex tester from FX Streets, you will still need to go to forextester.com for your data sources. I've listed the website here, but it's very easy to find on the website itself as well. We're going to go ahead and go do that now because it's a very simple process, but you need to be able to see it live in order to find everything you need in there. Unshare, reshare, and so now we're looking at the website for Forex Tester. What you need to look at over here, this is just the home page. This is what you're going to see when you pull it up, their main page. But you can see here listed about half a dozen spots down is data sources. You're going to click on that, and you can see a good number of data sources down here, including gold and silver. Isn't that lovely? Find the one you want. In this case, I've cleared out my Aussie dollars specifically for this presentation, so I'm going to re-download my Aussie dollar. I use Firefox for a number of reasons, but I really especially like the fact that I can just very quickly go to my download spot and find this. It comes down in zipped form. If you're not using Firefox, you're using Internet Explorer, what you'll need to do is navigate to your downloads page and find that zip file. When it's unzipped, you'll find immediately a .txt file. So, all I did was click on the zipped file. It unzipped it within the confines of my downloads file and gives me this .txt file. Right here is where I get my chance to put it where I want it so that I can remember it, right? So I'm going to cut it from here. I'm going to paste it into my pairs, my Aussie dollar, and I'm just going to pop it right in there so that I know where to find it when I need it, right? Donnie says, is the program has its live feed, or do we need to download data each time to test? Once you've downloaded your pair, you'll have that in the confines of your computer and available to use every time you use Forex Tester. However, Forex Tester does update their data every month. So if you're testing more recent historical data, say 2010 information, or even testing from 2009 to 2010, then you'll want to re-download that every month to get, in this case, May's information, right? So, but you don't have to do it every single time you use it, which is really nice because I use it a lot, and that would be a pain. It would probably make me not want to use it ever. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close these out. I know where I saved my file. I know where to find it when I'm ready to use Forex Tester. And my camera turned off again. That's okay. I'm going to turn it back on. Oh, no, it's not a live data feed. No. But I'm going to show you what you can do when you're generating ticks to simulate live conditions. No, it's not a live feed. It's historical data. Good question. Okay, so we found our data source, and we imported or we downloaded the data source to our computer. Now we need the data source to talk to the program itself, right? That's our point. That's what we're trying to do now. So from this point on, what we need to do, we're going to pull back up our Forex tester, make sure my camera's still showing. This little button right here is import history data. This is what comes next. So first thing we did in Forex tester itself was create the symbol. The second thing we did was go out and find a data source and put it on our computer. The third thing we need to do is actually take that data source and get the program to find it and talk to it and deal with it. So here's our import history data. And we've got this field right in here. Now, if you remember where you put it and you can type that in, great. If not, you click on that little browse button at the end, find the pair that you're wanting to test, find that .txt file, double click on it. It's going to automatically populate that field for you. So this is the little ellipses, right? The triple dots right at the end. It's going to help you browse to the folder on your hard drive. If you forget what you've done and you're not finding it, you might have to re-download it, or maybe you forgot to download it in the first place. But this will find it on your hard drive. This is where you get to choose where you want to put the data. Now, we created that new symbol, right? And it made the assumption and went ahead and put that symbol in here, which is really helpful for us. Now, if you don't change anything in here, the Forex tester data is going to stay at, actually, this says GMT 0, but it's actually going to stay at GMT plus 1. So this is your chance to change this to your time zone or the time zone that you want to trade. You want the data to load to simulate the hours that you're awake and that you're trading. Some people, when they first start, they don't even consider that. And then time of day really can become an issue in terms of volume and activity. So you want to keep this in mind. I like to test at, depending on what I'm testing, I like to test at my time zone, which is GMT -7. I'm Mountain Standard Time. Actually, right now, I'm Mountain Daylight Time. If I'm using something like pivots that require an end-of-day close, and I want to be really specific about where I'm using those, if I'm checking my pivots, I actually like to test it and trade it on Eastern Daylight Time, because then I can check the close of candle 2 hours earlier, which means I'm not staying up till midnight my time, more like 10 o'clock. So this is a chance for you to change that. Now, you do have the option here to delete the previously imported history for this symbol, but I have already deleted all of that, so I'm going to uncheck that. So if, Donnie, for instance, you wanted the most recent month and you want to just replace the old stuff, you would click that box when you downloaded it again. Rafa asks, do we have to consider summertime? It's really not that big of an issue. So no, you don't. I mean, that's all in the time zone. I mean, it's going to be different, a little different from year to year, but it doesn't make a huge difference. And it's not going to ask you here to consider whether or not you're standard time or daylight time. Good question. Click on next. Now, you can change this in here. I don't recommend changing it. I'll show you why at the end. And we'll talk a bit about some tools that I use for myself in terms of mining my data and making sense of the trades that I've taken. What this is talking about is it keeps a journal for you, and it keeps tabs of what date you're opening your trades, what time you're opening your trades, the high, low, all of that stuff, in addition to the price, your stop loss, your take profit, your profit and loss, all of those things. And if you wanted to rearrange any of that, or you wanted to get rid of some of that information, or you wanted to just have it appear differently in the exported data, you would change that here. I don't actually recommend making any of those changes, especially once we get to the end of this and I talk about the spreadsheet that I use to help make sense of this data. So at this point, and it's showing you here how it's going to keep track of all of that for you. Show here, import, and you're going to see this start feeding across. This doesn't take too terribly long. but it might be a little bit slower today considering I'm connected to you and everything's reaching out. So right now, let's go through the process again. The very first thing you're going to do is create space. Once you've downloaded it, right, use the FX Street option to get your discount. Get the registration key from Forex Tester, and they will email that to you and send you instructions on getting that set up. There is no Forex Tester for Macintosh right now, but you can run it in a simulated Windows on Macintosh. You also cannot, they will not allow, it's one license per computer. So if you want this on your laptop or on your PC, you want to think about that now before you download it, because they won't allow you to have one license between two computers. So you get it downloaded, you get your registration key, you make space for the pair, you go get your data source, and then you import the data source from the place on your hard drive to talk to the program, so the two things talk together, right? So that's where we've come so far in terms of the Forex Tester process. And any questions I can answer for you right now while this is scrolling, while this is rebuilding. Could you overlap two or more currencies to see correlations? Yes, yes you can. Absolutely you can. And I will show you. Remind me, Donnie, if I don't show you when I'm talking about generating ticks, remind me and I will show you then. I'll try to remember. I'll make a little note of it right now. Okay. So it says data was imported successfully. Great. Where is it? Where is our data? Well, what we need to do next is open up a chart that has our newly found data in it. Right here is our chance. Come on, get big. There we go. Oh, it's applying my last template. What you saw there, though, if you're using this for the very first time, what you saw against that black screen with the green candles, that's the default chart. It's making the assumption I'm going to want to use my last template or my most frequently used template, but it's going to appear for you on that black chart. Super simple to change. You just right-click, you go down to Chart Settings, and you can change all of that here. You have a number of different options. You have a number of different things you can do in terms of the colors you're going to see on your charts and the way that you like to see it visually represented. There's a second tab on here called Chart Options. You can choose to add volume, although it's been my experience that any volume indicator for Forex it's hard to get accurate because the volume is so huge. So I generally don't show it because I don't want anything in there to be misleading. Not to mention the fact that you have very few brokers that actually show you volume anyway. So I don't want to have something in my testing that I come to rely on that then isn't in my available to me through my broker, right? And you can have all of these options. Show your period separator, show the grid on the chart. It's going to put your hash marks all the way across. You have a lot of different options through here that you can change. This is also what's the programming language here? I have no idea. I'm a user of the product. I don't represent Forex Tester. I'm a trader and a teacher of currency traders. So this is just what I use. Yeah, I might have given the wrong impression, but I don't program it. Let's see, where was it? Oh, and here's where you can add your indicator. So let's say we wanted to, I don't know, let's add a moving average. We come down here. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me walk you through that. You're going to right click, add indicator. There's also an add indicator button right up here. You can use that too. And let's say we wanted to add a moving average. Let's say we want something really fast. We're going to double click on the field we want. That makes it available to change it. I'm just going to put something really fast on there and change the color. Again, just double clicking to make my options available. That's a pretty color. and we'll go with that. Oh, you can change the lines, and you have all of the options that you would have on any charting program. Right? Say OK and say apply, and it's going to add that on there for me. Okay? You can make whatever changes you want. You can add oscillators. You can add your Bollinger Bands, pivot points. You can add a ton of different stuff on here. Whatever your idea is, whatever your trading idea is, you're going to add that on to here at this stage of the game. We haven't started testing anything, right? We haven't actually put any data up to test. We're just setting up our chart. And this is where we do that. Now, the thing you wanted to remember here is that we're changing the time frame we want. If you like the 1 minute chart, change it to the 1 minute. Forex Tester doesn't go any lower than that. I only know one trader who uses anything lower than that anyway. So most people are going to be pretty happy with the options that are right through here. You can go longer if you need to. Well, let's just change it to 30-minute chart. Why not? I should have set that first, or at least saved my template, right? So let's do moving average again. We're going to put on our 9. Let's put on another one just for the heck of it. Let's do, I don't know what, a 23. Doesn't really matter right now. And we'll do that pretty green right there. And there we have 2 moving averages. Now, once you've got this all set up the way that you want to, you're going to right click and go to Template, Save Template to whatever you want to call it. We'll just call this something more intuitive. Moving, what did I make that? 923 moving average crossover. There we go. Once you save that template, now whatever currency that you come into and download again, if this is the one that you test most of the time, you saw it Intuit, the template that I normally use, and it just popped that right up onto my chart. So you won't have to add it every single time. But if you wanted to add something different, it stores your templates right here, and you can change them simply by right-clicking and adding them on here. Now, a lot of times, especially if you've got a favorite that you're using a lot, once you move over into the testing mode of the software, you'll have to put your template back on anyway. But that's okay. It's not that big a deal. But the idea is, before we even start testing, we're setting up our charts to look and feel the way we want them to look and feel. So that should be, just as simple as that. These options that are grayed out up here will come up to us, will pop up for us once we go into testing mode. How are we doing on time? Oh, I have so run out of time. Testing mode. Just click on this drop-down menu, come to testing mode. Add your, oh, silly me. See, now I'm trying to hurry. Before we get that far, and Donnie, this is what we were talking about with generating ticks. The next thing we do is we have to tell the Forex tester how to look at that data that we imported and what we want it to do with that data. Right here is generating ticks. You can actually generate point by point with this system. What that's going to do for you is it's going to allow the candles, if you so choose, to generate one tick at a time, so that you can simulate live conditions the best that you can. I actually recommend this for any tick generation. I'm not going to do it today because it's slower, and I want to do this generate by high open and close just to get through the data a little bit faster. But look what you can do. You can set the time frame that you want it to generate ticks for. So if you're only trading a 5-minute chart and you only want to test the most recent data, May 2010, you would actually change the dates up here to accommodate that. I'm actually going to change this, again, just for the sake of speed in terms of getting this through this. I'm actually going to just change this to the year 2000. So we only have a few months to pull up. But whatever you want to test in your testing session, you'll click on that pair right now. So say you want to look for a correlation between the Aussie and the Kiwi. You would check both the Aussie and the Kiwi boxes and then click Generate. And that's where you're going to get your two different charts up at the same time. I'm going to click on Generate. Again, I actually prefer this option, but this is going to go much faster. I'm going to click on Generate Ticks there, and it's going to go through the process of generating ticks. You'll usually see a scroll bar come across, especially when you have years and years worth of data. This did it fairly quickly for me, thank goodness, because we are so quickly running out of time. But now I can go into my testing mode. And it starts me out with, this is my equity balance, right? My equity curve. This is always going to be up here. It's going to be on this little tabby right here at the bottom. But I need a chart. I need to tell it what I want to. Why didn't that work? Come on. Here, did I not click on it? I want to do that. 2 dates to generate ticks. This is being a pain, isn't it? There it goes. Okay, now we should see some data over there. So now I can see the ones that I've opened up. If I had two, I would open up one, and then I'd go up here and I'd open up the next one. And I would see everything that I had open across the bottom down here in my separate tabs. I can also do this on time frames. So let's say I've got my 1 hour time frame, which is how I set up my, oh, actually I've got the wrong template on here, don't I? I said we were doing this. So I've got my 30 minutes, but let's say I wanted to see, how that related to a 4 hour chart. I could actually add another chart on here, change this to 4 hours, and now I can look at the correlations between a longer term and a shorter term time frame. So on the 4 hour chart, if I'm thinking it's about ready to pull back, I'll move to my 30-minute chart and look for a good place to get in, right? So you can do that on differing time frames as well. So that's, that's going to be super, super helpful as well. This little box right here is where you have the chance to ask it to download each candle 1 tick at a time, a minute at a time, however fast you want to. Now, obviously, you can't go more than the time frame that you've chosen. If we're looking at 30-minute candles, we don't want to look at, we don't want to, load 4 hours at a time. But this is where we get the chance to take a look at having it load slowly so we can get a feel for the price action as the new candle starts. Okay, before we run out of time, I need to make sure we get through the actual taking of trades. Oh, there we go. Dave's asking the same thing. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So, when you pull this up, you'll click on Start Test. It connects, it makes these little prongs go together like everything's plugged in. So now you've got your program talking to your data, and it's asking you, do you want to just start from the very first candle that was formed in the data? Do you want to continue testing from your last date? So if you test a half hour today, test a half hour tomorrow, when you pull it back up, you can just start off where you left off. Or if you've downloaded years and years of data, but you only want to test, 2007, you can define that as well in here. I always set this pause mode after connecting, because if I don't, the candles go by in a blur. You'll see how quickly that they'll load up. So, no data. If I didn't have that box marked, this would be unpaused. Look at them go, right? It's very hard to make decisions when they're moving that fast. So what you can do is actually change the speed that they load using this little button right up in here. And now I've slowed down the data so that I can start watching it. The other thing you can do is pause it. You can use these buttons to advance one candle at a time or go backward one candle at a time. Or you can use your space key to move forward or your backspace to move backwards. You've got your regular tools, crosshairs, horizontal lines, vertical lines, channels, fibs. You've got all the tools that you might want within the confines of your normal chart. The one thing I want you to take a note of here is this little camera icon in here. This is going to allow you to take an image of the trade that you're taking and put it into a separate document. And it's just, once you click on OK here, you go to your second document, Control V to paste or right click to paste, whichever way you prefer. And you can actually keep screenshots of your trades. This is going to help you mine your data later and help you make sense of the trades you took. So let's put on a trade. Here you can put on an immediate trade. And remember what I said about choosing your lot size, how you could go, this is your standard lot. So if you set up a standard lot size like I did on the Aussie dollar, when I click 1, I'm actually controlling $100,000 worth of currency, right? But if I chose this option here, I am now choosing the equivalent of a mini lot, and I'm only controlling $10,000 of currency. So this is where you get a chance to kind of play with your lot size if you're trying to learn how to scale in, scale out, that sort of thing. You can put in the stop loss you want to take, or you can take it with the eyedropper. Take profit. That looks good. Why not? We're just testing this stuff. This section right here gets ignored by most people. This is where you can put your comment, and later on when you export the data, you can start to see. Now, the reason why I even impress this upon you is I always tell people trade one idea at a time. I even go so far as to say, let's say you liked this idea of a moving average crossover. I would encourage you to take it just to start making observations. Yes, it crossed over, but was there a breakout, right? And then you would put that observation right in here. Breakout, or you might say no breakout, right? And what you're going to do at the end of your data session, of your testing, is you're going to be able to look back and go, moving average crossovers don't work so well without a breakout in addition to, or maybe they do, or whatever. But this is going to give you one more way to clue into your chart, because one of the downsides of automating the back testing is that it can kind of keep you detached, and you're not so much paying attention to the nuances in the trade, the things that you would be paying attention to in your live conditions, right? Aren't we hypersensitive to all of those little things? You know, yeah, I know that crossed, but gosh, it's still within, it didn't break support. Well, pay attention to that now, and you're going to go miles ahead in terms of identifying your preferences in your own trading. So the other option is a pending order. Remember, your buy stop, sell limit is when you want to enter a price that is above where market is. And your buy limit, sell stop is when you want to enter at a price that is below where the market is. But you can set these up to use pending orders. You know, people ask, well, do you use pending orders? Well, should I use pending orders? What should I test it and see? And this gives you that option to go ahead and do that. I know I'm going through this really fast. I just really wanted to make sure I had time for questions. When you take a trade, let's go ahead and just put one on. We're going to just keep everything really close. When you take a trade, you'll see these lines come across here. You'll also have down here, there's open positions, pending orders, account history in your journal. See, all of that record keeping is going on for you, and you can see the most active trade in this little window down here. And of course, this is all resizable. You know, you can always make it, more visible if that's what you want. But then you take the pause off and let it do its thing. Okay, so now we have record on our chart of whether or not that was a win or lose. We take another screenshot, put that back on there, right? Let's go ahead and just do a couple more, and it doesn't even matter. I'm just putting some on. Just so we can get some history, and you can see what that looks like. So here's our account history. it gives us where our profit and loss is, where our balance is, and as we use these little up and down arrows, we can actually see the trades that we've taken. Look at all the information it holds for you. It tells you whether you bought or sold it. It tells you the size of lots you used and the number of lots you used, when you opened it, where you opened it, stop loss, take profit, all the close information. If I had set my swap rate in here, actually I did, but I didn't roll over because I didn't hold on until the end of the day. So I didn't have any swap issues on these trades. How many points I won or lost on the trade, right? And then at the very bottom, it adds it all into my equity amount, right? My account balance. From this point, you can right click and export history to file. Now, something you can do just to keep your exporting super, super easy is export to Microsoft Excel. My contention with that is that you lose your headings. It doesn't tell you, which column is which, and it doesn't keep that comments section. So I always export to a text file so that I can see my comments. Was it going toward the 800 or away from the 800? Did the trend look tired, or did it feel like the beginning of the trend? Was it my third time extended and ready for retracement, or was it the first time out of the consolidation? Those of you who have traded with me for a while, you know what the heck I'm talking about there. But my point is I pick one condition that I keep track of in that comment section, and now I have a spreadsheet, and I can go through and I could say, did I have more winners toward the 800, or did I have more winners away from the 800? Simple moving average. Or, I can now start to make sense of the data I have, as opposed to not really understanding what conditions I was watching in the first place, right? So you would export this to your file and then mine your data. Really quickly, I'm going to go to the data mining slide here. We talked about setting up the chart. And you get this cheat sheet, remember. We talked about, lost it all. I need to unshare and then reshare. Connecting and, mining your data. Here we go. So, I recommend, these are some very basic items that I recommend that you, when you done doing a round of testing, that you go back and you do these calculations on. This is huge. It is not just enough to run a bunch of simulated trades. You have to make sense of whether or not your trading system is really working for you. Why keep track of your largest win? What does that matter? Well, if your largest win is over half of your equity gains, then what happens in real life if you miss that win? You might have a losing system overall, right? These are important things to keep track of in order to make sense of what it is you're wanting to trade. Now remember, you don't have to be frantically writing this down. I'm going to give you my website. You can come and download this PowerPoint presentation. The other thing that I'm working on is a spreadsheet. I've got it on my Macintosh, on my MacBook. So I need to make the translations over to PC, but I'm doing that this week, and it does a lot of this for you, and I've got it graphing out the time of day you're taking your trades, the time of day you're closing your trades, so you'll know, is it even happening while I'm awake, right? Does this even make sense for me to trade this if, yeah, it's a winning system, but I'm going to be sleeping through that session or whatever. And a bunch of other things. It'll map out your equity curve, and it'll do these calculations for you once you export that data to a text file and then import it into the spreadsheet that I've developed. So, but that is kind of a work in progress. And just be prepared to keep testing, keep testing, keep testing. I mean, there's just no two ways around it. And again, if we want to have another one of these webinars and really talk about the pros and cons of testing, I'd be happy to do that with you. But just be prepared that this is an ongoing process. And I'll tell you something, I'm a much better trader when I'm also testing. Much better. I don't know why. Maybe it's, I just have my head in the game more. I don't know why. But I am. And almost everybody I've talked to has said the exact same thing. That's one of the reasons why they continue to backtest, is because they just feel like their live testing goes so much smoother and so much better. So, I'm at www.triffsx.com. If you need me personally, here's my email address. But even better than that, I'm going to give you a post, or it's a private post right now until all of the tools are on there. Let me reshare here. But it's going to be at www.triffx.com/training categories. Forex tester. So there's where you can, it's private right now. If you were to go to my blog, you're not going to see it on there. The reason why it's private is Maud and Adinda are going to upload this archive. They're going to send me the link, and I'm going to keep a link on my website. FX Street will have one on theirs as well, but I want to have it on this blog posting so it's kind of a one-stop shop. I'm going to put the PowerPoint presentation on there for you to download so that you have the list of everything we went through today. We went through a ton of stuff, right? You're going to be able to have that as sort of a cheat sheet for you when you go to do this on your own at your leisure. I'm also going to put on there, I hope to have it done before the end of the week, the Excel spreadsheet. Right now it's a numbers spreadsheet on my MacBook, but I'll translate that to Excel and get that posted. I'll go ahead and post one for those of you who like Mac. I'll post the numbers one as well. There's spreadsheet programs called Numbers. I'll put them both on there. But I wanted a place for you to kind of go where you had information all in one spot. But of course, FX Street is going to have the archive and a place for you to download the software on their website as well. Yes, and Maud is sending out a reminder here. There's tutorials about the software. You can also download. Remember that if you go through FX Street, you're going to save a little bit of money off of that forextester.com price. So that's a pretty good deal there. Okay, great. I think if we can cheat a little bit, can we get just a few questions in? I went through everything so fast. So fast. While I'm waiting for you to pop in your questions, I realize now that Dave asks a different question than the one I answered. I was kind of skimming the question. Asking me, how do I actually backtest the pair? Do you replay the 1 hour time frame, or do I look up the entries and X's on the daily chart? And the reason Dave's asking me that is because I like to drill down from a larger context, from daily to 4 hour to 1 hour. Dave, I do both. And I didn't initially, right? It took me a while to start to realize the correlations between the time frames and really make those meaningful. But it depends on what I'm testing. But I actually love the feature of having multiple time frames open so I can watch the sentiment change on the longer term time frame. No, Boyke, there's not a monthly charge. Great question. It's a one-time download fee. And unless they do a major update, most of their updates are free, little things that they're fixing or tweaking. If they add a major tool, like this was the last thing that one of the most recent benefits they've added here was the ability to have multiple time frames and a couple of other things, two correlated charts open at the same time. Then you'll pay, a smaller fee to get the more recent version. But no, there's no monthly charge there. Yeah, Dave, you're welcome. I'm sorry I didn't look closer at your question earlier. Good question. Any other questions? Woo! Is your mind spinning? How much information was that? Hokey smokes. You're welcome. Great. Well, thanks for coming today. I really do hope that you enjoy the product. Just understand, give yourself permission to sort of be screwy with it for a little while and just go, okay, wait, what did she say? I mean, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm telling you, once you get past that learning curve, this will speed up your backtesting and it will make it addicting. It'll make it enjoyable because you can, as you start to hone and refine and you start to see progress in the way that you're understanding the chart, it's not such a drudge to go back to your historical data and go, oh God, I got to test this again with this one little change. Are you kidding me? So, this kind of takes some of that out of it, and it's like the next level on a video game. You're like, ooh, okay, I'm almost there. I'm going to make this one more change and see if that gets me there. So, I think it will bring some a new element to your trading for sure, or to your backtesting, which of course by extrapolation to your trading. Thank you everyone for being here. Do I forward test? Oh yes. Oh yes. Backtesting does not stop. I mean the learning process does not stop at backtesting. No, 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 no. I always recommend backtesting, then forward testing, then live trading with a tiny amount, maybe even only 1% of your overall trading capital. Between 1 and 10% in your very first account, and then, slowly adding into your account overall. Yeah, no, it needs to be a very, extensive process, because the one thing, and this is kind of that pros and cons of backtesting issue, right? The one thing that backtesting is not going to do for you is it's not going to be able to really give you a full idea of what it feels like to have your money at risk. And that feeling is what can really get in the way once you've got something on, because that feeling leads into doubt. Doubt leads into, over analyzing the fundamentals and listening to too many experts, and if two of them disagreed, and you've got this whole other thing that happens once you have live money on, right? You can't, and that's only going to come from real live experience. And what I'm asking you to do is start with your back testing, emulate as much as you can there, move to paper trading or forward testing, right? Same thing. And pay attention to what's really going on, live conditions. Pay attention to what's going on emotionally in you. And then starting with a little bit of money and seeing how you do with that money on the line. Are you getting too greedy? Are you getting too fearful? What's going on with you there? So that's the process that I recommend. Let's see. My website is you should still see it on the screen. Maybe not. Let me unshare and reshare. And maybe I can make this bigger. www.triffx.com. There you go. Maybe you can see it better now. And it's training-categories/Forex-tester. Oh, you know what? Oh, no. Grab your pens again. I goofed that up. Forex tester -tools. Okay? And that's where you can go for the PowerPoint slide. All right. How do you put special setup or rules to test signals automatically? I don't do that either, and I don't recommend trading like that, Donnie, so it's not something I've ever learned. But you do have, let's see, where is it? Enable, disable strategy execution, and you can do that. It's just not something I do, so I don't know how to do that. Sorry. Oh, hey, thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. Did you give me a little green thumbs up on that? You gotta put a little green arrow on those things for me. I want Maud to always, always love me, because you guys always, always love me, right? Aw, thanks. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Maud. I love you too. I really do appreciate that you're here, and I really want you to get super, super excited about backtesting. I kind of wish this was a two-part thing where I could really talk you into the benefits of backtesting and get you excited about developing your own system. Actually, there is an archived webinar where I've done a little bit of that in terms of talking about developing your own system as opposed to trying to follow behind someone else's system and make sense of the charts through their eyes. It just doesn't work like that. So, but if I can get you motivated to open up Forex Tester and get this working, I think you'll really like it. I really do. And I think that you'll become enchanted with the process of learning Forex instead of having it be a chore. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow at my regular webinar, Support and Assistance, noon Eastern Daylight Time. Or if you're a member of TriffFX, we'll have another Watch List webinar at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time before the New York session opens. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.